Oh, here we go. The 2019 grant recipients.
Oh. Just spoke at the 3rd annual one of those.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, on Saturday. About 50 participants, I think.
In what?
In the Sonia Kowaleski Day.
Oh, cool.
For middle school girls and who love math. It's like a full-on geek out. All right,
It was awesome. Thanks, Lori.
In the best possible way. And you could tell our women students who are involved were so excited as well.
Oh, this seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, when was that?
Seems like forever.
I can attest that a number of these people have much longer hair right now than they did when these pictures were taken.
And a very different color.
Different colors.
Sue Sungroth requests a new picture.
Granted.
I think we should add pictures to our applications. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
It is.
Yay.
Okay, welcome to the the Women's Impact Network grant announcement event. I hope you were able to see some of our 2019 grant recipients. Today, we are announcing our 2021 grant recipients and also celebrating our 2020 grant recipients who unfortunately weren't able to celebrate last year due to COVID. I am Karen Oliver and I am a member of the class of 1982. And I am co-chair of the Impact Committee along with Maureen McCaffrey and Audrey Fitzgerald. Before we get into our program, I have a few housekeeping items to share. First, we are recording this event and we will be able to view it again later. This event is formatted as a meeting. You will have the ability to use both your camera and microphone. We ask that you please leave your Zoom on mute unless you are called upon. If you have questions or comments, please use the chat function, which is located in the toolbar at the bottom of the Zoom window. In the top corner, you can change your view perspective. We recommend using speaker view and side-by-side view mode. This way that you can see the presentation and the speakers simultaneously on the screen. You can change the proportions of your view by moving the divider line side to side. Our goal at the Women's Impact Network, or WIN, is to build a network of women who lead and learn together, demonstrating leadership through philanthropic support of critical activities at WPI and creating a positive impact for the WPI community. WIN empowers women to come together as a collective significant force to support WPI's impact around the globe. Each year, WIN members, through gifts of all sizes, donate hundreds of thousands of dollars that are distributed to WPI faculty, staff, alumna, and students through impact grants. Since its inception, WIN has supported initiatives that address the challenges for women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM. We support projects and programs that provide pathways to advance women at WPI, increase the number of women in STEM fields, create positive difference in the extended WPI community, elevate WPI's impact and extend its reach around the globe. Today, we are incredibly proud to be presenting our 1 millionth grant dollar. I would like to thank each of our WIN members for helping us achieve this outstanding milestone and invite each of you to learn more about how you can become part of WIN's impactful work. At this time, I would like to introduce WPI President Lori Leshin and WIN Co-Chair Jennifer Wise, WPI Class of 1994, who will lead us in a discussion about the challenges for women in STEM.
Thank you, Karen. I am so pleased to be here, honored to be in the position to have co-led this WIN group over the past 5 years with Joan, and always pleased to have Lori's undying devotion to the Women's Impact Network. As you can see, I'm sitting in my daughter's bedroom right now. So pardon the background and don't try to study whatever is drawn on the board. It's just, it goes with COVID, right? So Lori, I have a few questions prepared for you. Hopefully we'll get through them. The first of those is, can you share a story about a male ally who has helped you in your leadership or in a particular situation that might come to mind?
Thanks. I'll just start by saying thanks, Jen, and thanks, Karen, and thanks to all the women, especially on the executive committee and the various committees that really animate WIN's work throughout the course of the year. And since we founded it and all the way up to this amazing milestone of WIN's $1 millionth awarded to help advance women at WPI, it really just makes my heart absolutely sing to feel the commitment on this Zoom, and to have the women who are currently at WPI sort of feel that love and support, whether they're faculty, staff, students. So thank you for that. I think it's interesting to contemplate the challenges that women are facing right now in STEM. And I think there's a whole new conversation we should probably have going forward about the impact of COVID on women in STEM. There's a brand new report out from the National Academies that talks about this exact thing, women in academic STEM especially. And so, maybe in future years, we can really specifically look to invest in some of the challenges to be overcome at this moment. But to get to your question about a male ally, it's like, of course, we have to start the women's conversation talking about men, but sure. And there have been many. I've had many, both male and female allies that have helped me in my career. But actually, the one I would point to is actually Jack Mullen, the chair of the board of trustees at WPI. He is just stepping down now after 5 years leading the board, and that's the limit. So he's really done amazing work. And not only has he been a great partner in during my time leading WPI, but he's actually the reason that I am here at all. And I think this is a pretty common occurrence. When I first heard from, the headhunter about coming to WPI and considering the role, I thought, no, I'm not quite ready for that. Or I don't really know. I'm not sure it's the right fit. I'm just gonna say, no, I'm not looking, right. And so I actually turned it down, not the job, but to even engage in the search initially. And it was Jack who was chairing the search committee, was not chair of the board then, but was chairing the search committee for WPI's next president, and made a personal phone call to me where he talked to me about why he thought it was the right fit. And he didn't know me at all, but he convinced me in the course of a phone call to at least consider the opportunity. And I think as women, we so often talk ourselves out of pursuing something. And when we have a man who can help paint that picture for us, that anyone who can, and by the way, it would be way better if we could do that for ourselves, but sometimes it takes that partner, that ally, to help paint that picture and light that path. And Jack absolutely did that for me. And then since being here, he isn't my ally as a woman president, he's my ally as the president of WPI. He's my partner in sort of managing all category of things that come at you in a job like this. And he is a very strong and steadfast ally and partner in WPI's diversity work. And that is not true of all of our alumni, especially male alumni. Jack is not an alum, it turns out, but it's not true of all the senior males in our community. And so to have the chairman of the board be a strong ally in this work is absolutely essential. It's true, by the way, of most, if not all, of our trustees, that they are very supportive. But yeah, so Jack has been an amazing partner. How about you? Like, how do you lead teams of men, right, Jen? Can you tell us about something that emerged while you were managing teams of mostly men. And this is a common occurrence for women in STEM, right? If we rise through the leadership, which let's face it, we're all fabulous. So we do, we end up leading teams of mostly men. How's that gone? And what can you share about that?
You know, I love your example there of Jack. And, you know, I just want to give a shout out. Karen Oliver's husband, George,
Yeah.
was a role model for me within GE during my 25 years there while he was there. You know, really just promoting women into leadership positions and in a very clear way, right? So
Intentional.
I really like that example. But yes, relative to my own experience, I will start with, you know, going back. So 27 years ago, I graduated from WPI. And I do force, you know, and I honestly have never really, honestly, never paid so much attention to the male-female dynamic. And, you know, you just, because I grew up with it, you kind of take it and you assume that, you know, that's the way of life, right?
Mm.
I was, just for everybody's, you know, knowledge, I was 6 months out of WPI, a supervisor in locomotive final assembly, where the average age was 55. So, you know, talking about a story and an example, there were certainly times when I felt like, you know, I was a daughter to these people. And, you know, there was that kind of a dynamic to overcome. But I think my observation is, I look at one of my most recent experiences with a couple of men that I've been leading for the past year and a half. And, you know, when I first got into the role, because I left GE, went to Philips, and I inherited a new team. And these two individuals were completely thrown back that I was scheduling one-on-one meetings with them every other week to touch base, right? Clearing out 30 minutes on my calendar to stay connected and understand the priorities, make sure we're working on the right things. And they clearly expressed to me that their previous leaders, who, yes, were men, you know, talked to them once or twice over the course of a year. And so that for me was astounding, and it kind of demonstrated to me that I was in for a cultural shift, right? And whether we align that with a female way of working versus a male way of working, you know, I can't draw that conclusion on those two data points. But I will say that I do think it's obvious there's a collaboration. There's got to be a correlation with the collaborative and inclusive environment that we build as female leaders. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So let me ask you, over the past year especially, you know, you referenced COVID. What have you learned about yourself with your experience leading in a crisis, which I have to add, you've done remarkably well. You know, your experience with the governor's task force, et cetera. I just would love to hear your thoughts on what you've learned about yourself as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. Come back and ask me tonight at 7:30 after the 12th Zoom meeting of the day, and I may give you a different answer. Look, I think in some ways, I've been through several sort of very intense crises in my career, none that lasted anything more than a few weeks. And so the stamina that's sort of required to go through this has been amazing to see. And that's not just me, but that's the whole team. But in those prior crises, I sort of learned about myself that I was sort of had this ability to stand at the eye of the hurricane kind of, and sort of see, okay, the storm is swirling, but kind of keep my head and, you know, not every second of every day by any means. Nobody should think I'm like perfectly calm all the time. I'm actually not that calm most of the time, but I can kind of see the storm, right? And try to help figure out what to do. And I think that confidence that would be the case has served me well in this moment, because there've just been, you know, and that I'm sort of can sit with the uncertainty of it and kind of hold that and be okay. Whereas I think a lot of people really have struggled with why does it keep changing, and why don't we know what's going to be the case? And I think there's a piece of that comes from being a sort of a STEM person, a scientist, right? Like we ask hard, open-ended questions for a living, and we don't care as much about what the answer is, just that we find an answer. And if the answer isn't necessarily what we thought, sometimes that's the most interesting part, right? And so at some level, I think our ability as sort of critical thinkers and problem solvers to sort of hold up a problem and look at it from all sides and think it through and analyze it, and then move from that place of not being in analysis paralysis, but actually moving to, okay, with the best information we have at this moment, here's the decision we're going to make. I think that part has served me well in this moment, being willing not only to sort of push the boundaries and ask the questions, gather the information, be able to sort of understand it as a scientist. Although, as I like to say, I'm in all these meetings now. I was just in one this morning talking about testing for the fall with all these head of epidemiology at MGH. I'm like, listen, I study rocks. This isn't my thing, but, able to at least feel comfortable in a scientific conversation. So I think all of that has been helpful. What else did I learn? I learned that I really like my husband, which I think is, I probably knew, but boy, I feel really bad if there are people out there because this year you either learned like you really like your husband or, oh my God, I freaking don't. So I think that's been like, thank goodness for families that, they drive you crazy, but gosh, I don't think I would have made it through this year if it wasn't for John and the ability to, figure out kind of how to survive in this moment. And then I've also learned that I'm going to have to take a break this summer because I'm exhausted. And I mean, I'm not a bit embarrassed to tell you or anybody else. It has been, we got no downtime last summer. Last summer was the most intense summer in the history of academic summers. And I am starting to position right now that we want everybody to be planning at least, a couple of weeks of real break. And we're going to work on how we position WPI for that. We're talking about no meeting Fridays. We're talking about some things like that to try and just really give people some space, because this team needs to recharge as we come back into next year and hopefully bring everybody back and be back into a bit of more normal operations, but still with modifications. So there's still work to do. Yeah. So
I like that you're contemplating the no meeting Fridays. And that was one of the things we heard in the Women's Impact Network Headspace event around what Headspace is doing, from a mental health perspective. I love that idea.
Yeah, we'll see if we succeed. I've heard a lot of stories both ways of organizations that have tried it and it's worked, and those that have tried it and it's like impossible. But I think in the summer we have at least a shot at giving that sort of flexibility. So back to you, Jennifer. How do you support and inspire women in your organization to see themselves as leaders and to get onto that leadership track? How do you work with up and coming women in your organization?
So, there was a moment when I realized that getting involved in networks, affinity networks, was not so much about what I needed, but about giving back, right? Perhaps I had a strong network and I didn't necessarily need, that affinity group to help propel, me to the places that I wanted to go relative to my career. But it really became about helping those coming after me, because I had learned a lot, right? So fortunately, in my experience at GE, had a wonderful opportunity to co-lead a women's network group there that spanned, 500 women. And it was everything from early career pipeline, how do you navigate, the career kind of scene. And then it was things like, working mothers. How do you balance schedule? How do you give people a view as to, how you come through that, right? Yeah. That it is possible to work and to be a mom, and you might not be awesome at both at all times, and that's okay. And you have to create that space to forgive yourself, and for me, that was hugely important recognition that it wasn't about me, and my needs relative to the network. But day to day, I think it's about creating space for the conversations. When I see women in the organization who do have the potential and the interest, reaching out, making sure I'm available, creating the time on the calendar. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about connecting with people and really showing you're approachable, that people are comfortable to ask you questions, and that you're not so high up that you don't have time for them, right? And so I really do make it a point to set time aside for those conversations. And I think those are the biggest things, right? Is making sure it's a priority, like people view it as a priority in your calendar and in your day, and that you're there to help.
Yeah, that kicking down the door for others. I remember back to the very first Win weekend where we were talking about kicking down doors, and making the time to kick down doors is just, and it's not like it's a one way you're giving a gift. You get gifts from that, right? I mean, that's the thing, right? It's definitely a two-way street. And I love that. I'm a mentor in a program for rising women in the aerospace field called the Brooke Owens Fellowship, named for a woman I was close to who died of cancer way too young. And that group has now, in I think 4 years, probably got 150 women, 4 or 5 years, that have interned all over aerospace. They're taking over the world, these women, and it's just incredibly inspiring. I'm doing speed dating mentoring with them in a few weeks, so that's going to be fun.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, as we celebrate this 5-year anniversary of Women's Impact Network, how has this idea, which did evolve from your experience prior to WPI, how has it met your expectations? Because I'm always concerned about, the results. Are we meeting expectations? And is there anything you would suggest we consider doing differently going forward?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting moment to reflect. 5 years in, $1 million invested in, and I can't imagine being more thrilled than I am with what WIN has accomplished, and with the amount of energy on the campus that it has helped generate, that women feel really empowered to bring ideas forward and know there's going to be a place they can bring them, and are building these communities with one another to support this work across the campus. And, now we're broadening this work so much more, with so much discussion about justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, right on the campus. I think if there was, so the good side is it has exceeded my expectations. I will tell you, it is based on a program I was involved in myself at Arizona State, but the first weekend we had this, it became quite clear to me that our women are different than the ASU women, where I have to admit theirs is a bit more about sort of spa time and interesting conversation for sure. But this is an action-oriented group, and I think that really came through from the very first time we all got together, and the fact that we have been able to really harness that energy around action and move it forward for impact on the campus and beyond is so exciting to me. So that I wouldn't change at all. If there were 2 things that I could ask us to think about going forward, one is this leadership team has been together for almost the whole time, and I feel like we need to give them a bit of a break if they want it. And we need some new leaders to step in, and we need to sort of, you and Joan have been our fearless leaders this whole time. And I think, again, if people have passion for that, great. And we want to stay the course, that's fine. But I think making room for others at the table is really important. And my second point is that one, which is we are great with women. We are not great with women of color yet in WIN. And we've got more work to do to really invite to the table and support and advance women of color at WPI and women of color in STEM. And I think we have a real opportunity perhaps to be proactive there. And I think we should be talking about that. And I know it's for no lack of good intention at all. But, so I guess that and that's a bit off the top of my head, but it's, and again, neither of those being criticisms. I mean, it's really just been spectacular. So I, on behalf of all of the women at WPI who have benefited from this investment, I thank you. And for me and for us at the leadership level at WPI, it's allowed us to connect with more fabulous women alums and partners who we didn't know that well before, which is always great because we're always looking for women in leadership roles on various parts of, you know, our sort of volunteer activities. And it's really been fantastic there. We've gotten trustees out of this. I mean, it's been great. So thank you all so much. Let's keep it up.
Yes, and thank you for those suggestions. I don't take them as criticism whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, I could ask you more questions, but I want to be sensitive to the time. Should we go ahead and wrap up, do we think, with this part of the program? Or what do you think, Jennifer?
sure, we can, absolutely. And I think, you know, now, and Lori, just thank you so much for the opportunity to have candid conversation. You know,
Pleasure.
it's always a highlight of my day when I have an opportunity to interact and hear from you as to what's going on at WPI.
There is a lot. It's a very exciting time, including, by the way, Cornell West is speaking here tomorrow evening. So if you all haven't seen that, you should, maybe somebody can find the link to register and put it in the chat. I think that should be a really interesting discussion about race and democracy tomorrow evening for our university lecture. So you're all invited. I'm going to go on mute and video because my mom has been calling me nonstop for the last 10 minutes and I got to go find out what that's about.
I hope all is okay, but thank you so much again. And it's now my pleasure to introduce Maureen McCaffrey, class of 1986, and Audrey Fitzgerald, our co-chairs of the Women's Impact Network Impact Committee, who will present our grant awards.
Thanks, Jen and Lori. Maureen and I are proud to represent the Women's Impact Network Executive Committee and our entire WIN membership to present these grant awards today. At the start of the program, you all saw a video showing our 2019 grant recipients. But before we present our 2021 grants, we'd like to acknowledge our 2020 grant recipients. Due to the COVID pandemic, these recipients did not receive the recognition that we feel they so richly deserve. So we're happy now to share the projects and programs with you. Maureen?
Thanks, Audrey. Our 2020 recipients are Bridging the Gap in Gender and Discipline, Women Impact Network Colloquium Series, primary author, G. Fu, Robotics Engineering. Expanding the early research experience in E summer term to promote and support female participation, primary author, Catherine Whittington, Biomedical Engineering. Grow, Graduate Research Organization for Women in STEM, creating an organization for the professional development and support of women graduate students at WPI, primary author, Heather Leclerc, Chemical Engineering. Personal and Professional Development Series for Women in Mathematics, primary author, Alyssa Negrini, Mathematical Sciences. Supporting women in data science via the Women in Data Science Symposium, fostering diversity, community, mentorship, outreach, and global impact all in one. Primary author, Elke Rundensteiner, Computer Science. Taking collaboration among women to the next level, interdisciplinary presentations by women faculty, alumni, and students. Primary author, Rodica Niamtu, Computer Science. Teachers and Learners Ecosystem for Increasing Participation of Women in Physical Sciences and Other STEM Disciplines at WPI. Primary author, Lyubov Titova, Physics. The Belmont Street Community School Seed STEM Education Equity Development Program. Primary author, Janine Coburn, Biomedical Engineering. Using Applied Theater to Foster Bias Awareness and Intervention, primary author, Chrysanth Demetri, Mechanical Engineering and Morgan Teaching and Learning Center. WIN, Women's Young Investigator Fellowship, providing WPI students and faculty with mentorship and research conference opportunities for research. Primary author, Avery Harrison Closser, graduate student, Learning Sciences and Technologies. Women in the STEM World, showcasing STEM education IQPs that impact women and girls. Primary author, Leslie Dodson, Interdisciplinary and Global Studies. The Women of WPI Fall Leadership Conference Workshop, primary author, Allison LaFleur on behalf of the women of WPI. And Worcester Women in STEM Pathway Initiative, WWISPI, primary author, Suzanne Sontgrath, pre-collegiate outreach. So those are our 2020 winners. Congratulations to everyone. And now we'd like to present our 2021 grants. Back to you, Audrey. Audrey, we can't hear you.
Sorry, mute. Damn you, mute. Thanks, Maureen. I asked that our 2021 recipients, if you'd like to be recognized on screen, to please unmute yourself, unlike what I did, and say hello or thank you or hi, mom, when we present your grant. Okay, first, a win for mothers, stigma, COVID-19, and maternal mental health. Primary author, Samantha Hines, graduate student, psychological science.
Hi, thank you.
Academic coaching, building community support with the Office of Accessibility Services. Primary author, Amy Curran, Director, Office of Accessibility Services.
Thank you so much.
Artificial tongue for oral cancer patients. Primary author, Sarah Vasquez, undergraduate student, electrical and computer engineering.
Thank you so much. We're super excited.
Well, we're excited to have an undergraduate project. That's just terrific. Speaking of which, our next, free menstrual products on WPI's campus. Primary author, Alexandria Lehman, undergraduate student, mechanical engineering.
Hello, thank you all so much.
Next, Gender and Leadership Opportunity Workshop, the GLOW series. Primary author, Lindsay Davis, assistant teaching professor, humanity and arts.
Thank you, and thank you to my co-leader, Rebecca Moody.
Lecture series highlighting women developing guitar technologies. Primary author, Vijay Manzo, associate professor, humanities and arts.
Thank you very much. Quite an honor.
Peace, participation, equity, access, civil rights, and education. Hackathon for social justice. Primary author, Tiffany Bletler, director, multicultural affairs.
Thank you, and thank you to the OMA team, Rachel Hurd, Mia K. Fuller, and Arnold Lane. Thanks.
And this is Tiffany's first award as a primary author, but she's a 5-time winning co-applicant on the RAMP project. PBL to go, bringing STEM experiential learning to a classroom near you. Primary author, Kristen Boudreau, professor, humanities and arts.
Thank you, everybody. And thanks to my co-author, David DiBiasio from ChemEng. We're really grateful.
And this is the second award for this project run by Chris and David DiBiasio. On to Maureen for the next half.
Great. Next, we have Physics Laws, Leader Achiever Women Students Competition. Primary author, Snehalata Kadam, Assistant Teaching Professor, Physics.
Thank you very much.
And this is the second project awarded for Snehalata.
Thank you.
Quantum Pathways for Women, Women's Quantum Science and Engineering Outreach and Mentorship Program. Primary author, Raisa Trubko, Assistant Professor, Physics.
Hi, thank you all so much for the opportunity, and thanks to my co-applicants, Dana and Camille McDonnell, who is a sophomore at WPI. And just quickly want to say it's really inspirational to see the focus that WPI and the donor community has placed on supporting women in STEM. And I'm excited to take part in the WIN community. Thank you.
We're excited to have you. Thank you. Next is supporting equity in faculty career advancement during and after COVID-19 pandemic. Primary author, Chrysanth Demetri, professor, mechanical engineering and Morgan Teaching and Learning Center. This is the third project awarded for Chris.
I'd like to acknowledge my collaborators, Sue Roberts and Arna Garricky, for this award. So grateful to the Women's Impact Network. This will enable some much needed support for faculty who have been most severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. The Leadership Delta Pearl, Professional Education and Representative Leadership Mentoring Program. Primary author, Tiffany Butler, Director, Multicultural Affairs. This is Tiffany's second award this year as a primary author.
Thank you. And I'd also like to say thank you to the other folks who have worked on this grant as well. Christine Siv out of Student Activities, Reverend Dr. Dean, Deborah Jackson over in the business school, and also Michelle Jones-Gossens and Jasmine Jones working together for a while on this, trying to get this to come together. So I thank you for the recognition, and I also thank the co-applicants and the collective work on this grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Win Wise Fellowship, Women's Interdisciplinary Scholarship Engagement. Primary author, Rodicha Niantu, Associate Teaching Professor, Computer Science. This is the third project awarded for Rodicha.
Thank you very much. And I would like to acknowledge my co-PI and friend, Danielle Cody, with whom I had founded our first interdisciplinary research group, as well as Kyle, who's a postdoc, and Ashley and Rupsa, who are undergraduate students in our group. Thank you.
Thank you. Women's Young Investigator Fellowship, providing WPI students and faculty with mentorship and research conference opportunities for research. Primary author, Avery Harrison Closser, graduate student, Learning Sciences and Technologies. This is the fourth award for this project run by Avery and Erin Ottmar. Erin was the primary author in 2018.
Thank you all so much. We're so excited to lead another year along with graduate student Luisa Perez.
Worcester Women in STEM Pathway Initiative, primary author, Suzanne Sondgrath, director, pre-collegiate outreach. This is the fifth award for this project, which has been funded since the first year of Women's Impact Network. Ryan Meadows was the lead on the project in 2017.
Thank you again for supporting this work. It's so rewarding for all of us who do it. I really want to acknowledge Kathy Chen and Tiffany Butler, as well as Ryan Meadows and Nicole Antoni, who really makes the program happen on a regular basis. Thank you for your support. I'm excited to see some of the previous graduate students in the program, like Avery Harrison and Heather Leclerc, who were in the RAMP program, who are now also WIN grant recipients themselves. So nice to see this work coming full circle.
Thank you, Sue. We're excited for you. And finally, WPI supported STEM childcare impact and opportunities. Primary author, Mia Dubosarski, Director of Professional Development, STEM Education Center.
Thank you, everyone. And this is really a team effort. So I'd like to thank Rami, Christelle, Renata, Jenna, Ryan, Erin, Jillian, and Rory. And this is really a project that we hope will benefit the campus at large. So thanks for your support.
Thanks, everyone. Congratulations to everybody, to all of our grant recipients. We look forward to seeing the outcomes of your work. And at this time, I am happy to switch over to Jerome Scutek, one of our WIN co-chairs.
Thanks, Maureen. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerome Scutek. I'm a member of the class of 1979 and co-chair of the Women's Impact Network with Jen. On behalf of our executive committee, I really want to thank each and every one of you for attending this event today. WIN values the power of our network and fostering connections between WPI women. In just a moment, we're going to transition into some small breakout rooms where we'll continue our conversation, but we'll be able to do it in smaller groups, and we can share our thoughts and our own personal stories. But first, I want to leave you with some final messages. As you've seen and heard today, WIN is making a difference in the WPI community and beyond by supporting initiatives that advance women in STEM. Our network is a diverse group of women who share a passion for education, leadership, and philanthropy. And I invite you all to consider becoming a member of our group. Through your donations and membership, you not only help us fund these amazing impact grants that we are awarding to WPI students, faculty, staff, and alumni, but you also help us determine which initiatives to fund. Every WIN member, anyone who donates to WIN, has the opportunity to vote on which grants are funded each year. If you're interested in becoming a WIN member and having this impact, I encourage you to look for more information on our website or reach out to any one of us. We're all passionate about it, and we're all happy to tell you more stories about what it means to each of us. As we close things out here, I wish to extend a heartfelt thank you to our current WIN members. Without you, we would not have been able to provide the support that we do, and we wouldn't have been able to award our $1 million of grant today. I look forward to your continued engagement with WIN and with WPI. I would also like to thank my fellow WIN Executive Committee members for your work throughout the year, and to Lori for your support ongoing for this effort, and for being here with us today. And Lori, I hope your mom's doing fine, and she just was missing you and wanted to talk with you. I would also like to thank our support staff in WPI's Division of University Advancement, Donna Stock, Stephanie Pasha, Beth Aledo, and Cindy Worley, as well as our behind the scenes who've been managing the technology for us today, and with Aubrey Valley and Jen Daigle. And it's managing one of these things, pinning us and so on, is not a simple task. I'm glad I wasn't tasked with having to do that. At this time, we're going to transition into our breakout rooms. Each room has a representative from our WIN leadership team who'll guide the conversation. It's going to be very casual conversations, and I really want to encourage everyone to stay connected and enjoy a little bit of time in a smaller breakout session, talking about what we saw today, our experiences with STEM and women in STEM. So I'd ask you to hang on for a minute while we manage the breakout rooms and let them all load. Thank you all for being with us today to recognize our donors, and congratulations again to all our donors, the 2021s that we didn't get to celebrate last year, and our new 2021 recipients that we announced today. Enjoy the breakout rooms and have a great rest of your day. So hang on, and we'll be heading out into breakout rooms for about a 30-minute breakout time.